Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time zone. This is Safe Room on Cmtv. And you know what we do here on Safe Room? We talk about issues that surround marriage. A lot of people have lost themselves while trying to abide by the injunctions that we find in the Bible that says, children, obey your father and your mother, that your days will be long, which is the only commandment that has a promise attached to it. On the other hand, we equally know that same Bible tells us that a man shall leave his mother and father, cleave unto his wife, and two becomes one. The question is, for parents who decide who their son or daughter will marry, are they really allowing that which God has joined together to remain as a covenant? And for people who rather work to cleaving onto their partner, would prefer to listen to their parents, are they also obeying the commandment of God? I am Elegant Rose, and this is Safe Room here on Cmtv. And to discuss all of this is a man of God, one who has experience in the work of God, one equally who has experience as a father, and equally a husband. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome today on the show.
Thank you.
I have heard and have listened to you, and I can say that if the Spirit does not reveal it to you, you cannot do it.
You can say that again.
Yes.
It just has to be the Spirit that reveals it.
Marriage is something that is very beautiful.
Definitely.
I keep telling, our audience that marriage has never failed anyone.
Not at all.
The problem is we go into marriage unprepared.
That's right.
Though you can't prepare 100%.
Sure.
But if you're willing to learn and unlearn, there's a possibility that you'll get it right. You will not fail in marriage, because marriage can never fail anyone.
That's right.
One of the major challenges that we're facing in today's families is, extended family members trying to make rules in a family where a man has chosen, or a woman has chosen, a man and a woman actually came together to say, we want to build our own home. Right. And then you find either the mother or the father or the uncle, either from the wife's side or from the husband's side, trying to say, oh, no, I don't like this man that you have chosen for yourself, or I don't like this woman that you have chosen for yourself. And over time, it begins to affect the two people who has come together as one. How do we tell our fathers, our mothers, our uncles, our brothers and our sisters respectfully, without offending the commandment that God gave to children, obeying their father and their mother? How do we tell our relatives to respectfully leave our marriages alone? Okay.
I love the fact, I'm going to start with, by saying I love the fact that the two Bible scriptures that talked about respecting our parents and also marrying, which is, I think one of the 10 commandments, honoring your mother and your father. For that is the only commandment with a promise. And therefore a man shall live to cleave with his wife, and the both of them shall become one. Now, these are two powerful scriptures in the Bible, and for every successful marriage, both of the scriptures must be fulfilled. It becomes a problem when you want to fulfill one and not fulfill the other. And marriages that the both have tentatively had their place, tend to strive better. Now, I tell you, I'm going to speak from experience as a married person or someone who got married a few years ago. I had the same issue. I came from a home where my dad, while we were still young, gave us a list of places we can marry from.
Yeah.
In fact, when he mentioned like 2 places from my own state, Abia State, and he mentioned my own community.
And I'm sure he has reasons as to why.
He has his reasons. Now, I asked him, I said, sir, Daddy, I understand though, I'm not even thinking of marriage now. But if you mention my own community, that's a concern. Because if my community are bad people, we are not.
True.
So if we are not, and we are from the same community, that simply means that these communities you mentioned now, there are one or two persons too from there that are not bad people. And as God will have it, when I was ready for marriage, and it happens to be that, you know, God connected me with someone from one of those places that was a no-go area.
A red flag. A red flag to him.
And the funny thing is that when I called him and I said, Daddy, I was ready, and he said, okay, the first question was, where's she from?
Okay.
And I said, my place, Abia State. He said, where in Abia State? I mentioned Ngwa. He said immediately, you will look for somebody that will go and represent you as your father. Okay. And my dad was damn serious. So I knew from the beginning that it was going to be a problem. Then also, the woman who God has brought into my life for us to be one, also had her mom, based on the experience she have had with the husband, telling her daughter, you're not marrying from Abia State. So we had the problem from both sides. I have my dad telling me no Ngwa. She had her mom telling her no Abia State. And one of the things that gave me the confidence was that, first of all, I told myself, I said, I am not going to marry without my parents' blessing. That's one. Then two, I'm also not going to get married disobeying them or them blessing me forcefully. They're going to come to this marriage and they will bless it from the whole of their heart. Now, because I was confident of whom God has chosen for me as my wife, I was 100% sure it wasn't a prophet, it wasn't anybody giving me prophecy, it was God talking to me that this is the person I've met for you. So all I need to do was that I went back to the one who made the if for me. I said, Father, right now it is only me and you that knows that this is the perfect person for me. I don't want to lose my parents' blessings. I also don't want to cry and cajole them that they will not say, okay, since that's what you want now, go in. Because if they do that forcefully, then then the area of in-laws becoming an issue in the marriage will strive. And I just went back to prayers. My prayer point was not difficult. Lord, the same way you showed me, speak to them. Because the heart of men are very difficult to convince. No matter how much you talk, your parents will always tell you they know more than you. What we see sitting down, they see that. Even sometimes now we seem to see more than them, but they don't want to accept that. You know, so but you are the only one that can actually convince the heart of a man. So I'm going to leave the job for you. I'm not going to do anything extra. I'm not going to cry. I just dwell in the place of prayers. And guess what? The first day my dad met my wife, it was a church setting. My younger brother was graduating from Bible school, and I brought her. That was the first time. He gave me the attitude like, Dad, meet my friend. And you're like, good afternoon. Yeah, okay, how you doing? Let me slap. I felt so embarrassed. I felt like, how can I, since you have known me as your son, this is the first time I'm bringing a lady to you, and the way you approached her, I felt like the lady would already feel like she's not welcome in this home. Now, out of that anger, I refused to go back home because my dad actually came to visit me. Long story cut short, I usually go back home around 3-4 p.m. I choose not to go because I knew he was in my house. I wanted him to go. So I came back home around to 7. Guess what? I came to 7. I met my dad in the house. They have cooked rice with some good meat, and I came angry. And he looked at me, he said, you push to give him food. I'm like, for in my mind, I don't want to eat. Then the next question he asked me was shocking. Is that the girl you say you want to marry? I said, yes. He said, okay, go ahead. She's not like the others, the way I was thinking.
Wow.
Now, funny enough was that these two persons didn't have any conversation. I don't know if you understand me. She never got to talk to my dad, or my dad never got to talk to them. It was just that sight that I felt like it was an embarrassing moment. But only to come back home, he said, she's not like I was thinking. You can go ahead. Do you know that my dad was calling me almost every day or twice in a week, asking me, have you called her? Have you called her? Because she was in school. In fact, my dad told me, if anybody collect that girl from your hand there, me and you will have issue. And I was like, now still this same Ngwa girl, Like it's the same Ungwa person that I had a red mark not to go. So I understood and I value the place of prayer. When I handed it over to the one who can change the heart of men, it became easier for me. So for me, if you don't want to, if your parents are, are against the person you have chosen, two things. First, be sure that this is God's match for you. Because if it is not God's match for you, God won't convince your parents. That's another mistake, because He's not going to beg your parents to accept something that is outside His will. So first of all, be sure that this is His will, and when it's His will, just tell Lord, this is your will. I don't want to struggle. Begin to talk to men. Talk to my dad, talk to my mom. You will see them come in line stresslessly. It happened the same thing with her mom. Her mom just, okay, let's go ahead and marry. And today, my mother-in-law and myself are like best of friends. Nothing we don't share. Wow. This was the same Abia man that you shouldn't have gone to.
Okay, within the period this whole thing was going on, did you at any point tell her that, look, my dad is not in support of this whole thing? And what was her reaction?
Yeah, I think maybe because of the foundation or how we founded our relationship. When we met, when I took my time to pray and was sure that this was my partner, I walked up to her, told her I wanted to marry her. One thing I told her was, like I told, take a time to inquire, pray. Let me use the word, a strict instruction. Let no prophet confirm it to you. Let nobody tell you not your dad. You go to God and ask Him. My confidence was, if I was sure that God spoke to me, she hear God too. So He's gonna speak to her. From the day I asked her to marry me, it took us 1 year, 6 months for her to say yes. Now, those were, I remember they were during our courtship, there were times when I think the first time she told me, I'm convinced. And this is God said, you're my husband. I said, give me the reasons why you're convinced. I wasn't in a rush, and that was because of the confidence I had. I was sure who spoke to me and what He told me. So I told her, tell me what made you feel like I'm your husband, or what I told you was the truth. She said what she said. I said, these are strong revelations, but go back and pray. I'm rejecting your yes. I was not the one rejecting. I said, I'm rejecting your yes to give you more time to pray. And she smiled over it. And by the end of it, by the time we came together, everything we were hearing was like noise, because these were two hearts that are standing not on their love alone or their attraction to each other, but on the voice of God that have spoken to them. So our confidence was that God cannot lie to us at this time. Because I told him, I said, I have made a lot of mistakes in life. If there is one mistake I don't want to make, is that of marriage. So please help me to go into the right one. Let me, as they always say, I want to marry one and marry right. Do you understand her? So when because of the confidence we had in our heart, when all of those challenges, my mom, her mom, and a lot of things, we are like, you are not to be. Her mom, I remember her mom even telling me that no, I can't be her daughter's husband, because prophecy came when she was young that her husband was going to come from outside the country. And I told the mom, I said, but I'm from outside the country. I'm in Abuja, but I'm from Abia State. Do you understand? And we laughed over it, but those confidence we had in God's word for us actually gave us the strength to go through. It wasn't a juicy moment, but there is nothing like when you know that you are actually following divine instruction, or what you are running with is the vision or what the word that God has actually given to you. When you are 100% sure, no matter what the trial is, no matter what the temptation is. In fact, I end with this. There was a point when her mom went to, I needed to meet their family prophet. I'm not somebody that sits between any prophet to want to give me. I said, I'm a pastor. God speaks to me. It is only when I'm disconnected from Him. That's my prayer. Lord, only speak to me through another prophet when I know I'm disconnected. Because if you're going to tell me anything over concerning my life, when it has to do with destiny, marriage, you should talk to me first, because I hear you. It is only when I'm not hearing you, or when I'm disconnected with you, like David, that you can talk to another prophet to bring me in line. But if I'm in line, I shouldn't hear things from an outside prophet and it should sound strange to me. It simply means I'm not connected. So when she told me that the mom said she made a prophet, I said, okay, let's go. I actually went to saw the prophet. We sat there. The man said, you know, he did, and said, okay, that you guys are supposed to be together. You're gonna be, she's gonna work, make your ministry beautiful and blah 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 and everything. I told her, I said, well, he couldn't have said anything otherwise. And guess what? We left that day. The next week she called me. The same prophet called her to come alone and told her, I'm not her husband. And funny thing, when I had it, maybe because of my area of call, it provoked something in me. I said, we're going to see the prophet. She was like, no, don't. I said, no. Once you make yourself look like a false prophet around me, I have no fear to confront. That was one of the graces of Elijah. And we went back to that same prophet. And I told him, I said, sir, you told me we were meant to be together.
And then you're telling
a few weeks later, you called her alone to tell her I'm not. I said, so where did the misinformation come about? Which one are we sticking with?
Was it before or after?
That was after he told her. So the prophet told me, he said that he prayed later, and from the signs he saw, that were not meant to be. Before my wife presently, I told him, I said, you saw wrongly. And if you don't want to jeopardize your ministry, then you should learn to say what God actually wants you to say. And I said, what you told her was not divinely instructed. I could hear a voice that was facilitating that. And he looked at me and asked me, because one thing about many people who know me, they know I'm an apostle. Whether I have a prophetic gift or not, many don't know, because that is one office I don't go wacko on. I understand the depth of that office, and I'm very careful. Those around me knows if Joshua said, God said, you can run with it. Do you understand? So when I confronted him, he told me the truth. Right in front of my wife to be there, he said, man of God, I'm sorry. Indeed, it was the mom that came to me and said that he's not comfortable, that her daughter will not listen to her. The only person her daughter will listen to is the prophet. So she just called her, I don't want her to marry Joshua. Joshua is not her husband. And he obliged. And I asked him, to you, you think you're helping the mom. But the problem is that you have had an offense with God. Because you came saying, God said, when you know he didn't. You would have probably, if I was not somebody who was sure of what God has told me, this could have separated us. And we would have think that maybe God separated us, not knowing that a prophet allowed the lying tongue to overwhelm him and caused what God wanted to bring together to go asunder. I tell young people of today, if you want to get married, one person to keep off your decision making is the prophet.
One person to keep off your decision making as you want to get married is a prophet.
And the reason is because every believer have the ability and the opportunity to hear God for themselves. If you're not hearing God for yourself, then checkmate that and work on that. If you can hear God for yourself, the issue of marriage, the issue of destiny, he should talk to you directly.
I agree with you. You know, I always say to people around me that we all have personal relationship with God.
That's right.
There is no need for you to run to anyone to say, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, what should I do? But just like you said, sometimes we disconnect, and that is the only time we go on our knees and say, okay, Father, if I have disconnected from you, please help me through another prophet, and he will direct you to the right person. That is just the honest truth. From everything that you have talked about, I can see from the beginning of your relationship with your partner, there is an alignment.
That's right.
There's a spiritual alignment.
That's right.
And that is what led you both to where you are today.
That's right.
A lot of people do not have that.
Sure.
You see so many young men today who will tell you, oh, church business is not mine, it's for my wife. They expect that it is the woman that has to pray the family out. It is the woman that has to pray for the husband, pray for the children. They're not interested in doing anything that has to do with spiritual connection with the family, with their wife. In fact, he wants to tell most men now, come, let's go to church, or come, let's have a family prayer. It seems like for them, you're trying to, you want to put them in a shelter. Or you want to shackle them. You understand me? And from so many experiences, you would see that it creates a foundation that does not stand the test of time.
That's right.
Because if it must work, God has to be the foundation.
That's the initiator of marriage.
He has to be the chief cornerstone.
That's right.
So if you do not invite him from the beginning, then there's a possibility that you're going to have a faulty home.
Definitely.
Right?
Another mistake is inviting him matters. Don't invite him. Don't invite God when you are already in. Invite him before you go in. Because if you are inviting him, you know, one thing about God, he has given us choice. Whatever choice that we're in the world today, he wants everybody to make heaven, but there are those who have chosen to go hell. Do you understand? He's going to do everything possible to see how he attracts everybody to himself, because he died for all of us, but we still have our will. So if you go in to a marriage, it might not be God perfect will, it could be a good will, because the man may be good, treat you well and all of that, but that's not who God wants you to, you know, do your thing internally.
Do your thing with.
He's going to come in, but if you choose to invite him when you're already in, he's going to answer your prayers and try to just make everything work. But if things doesn't work, you don't blame him, because you didn't bring him
from the beginning. You know, when we talk about foundation, right, there are so many things that a lot of people inherited from the foundation that gave birth to them. Some people ignorantly would tell you that if my father did it, if my mother did it, it has to be the best way, it has to be the right way.
That's right.
What do you make of it? Should we carry everything that we learned from where we came from? Or is there a point where we get to say, okay, yes, my mother did this, my father did that, I have to do better? At what point do we begin to have that honest conversation with self in our marriage?
I think when a man stands morally upright, a lot of things will be corrected. I'm from a Christian home. There are a lot of things I admired in my dad, admired in my mom. There are also a lot of things I didn't want. I'm somebody who, as a Christian or as a believer, studied the scripture for myself, not just what my pastor preached to me. And I begin to understand some foundations and some, you know, qualities that I need as a man. Now, if you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the revelation you're going to catch will be different from the revelation I'm going to catch if I read same scripture. Now, I tell people, I said, every revelation a man gets is for himself. It's not something you want to make a doctrine now. So if you choose your dad, who's from a Christian home, read the scriptures or had some principles that governed him, it worked for him. It might not work for you. It worked for him, it might not work for you. So it is just all about you telling yourself what you want. And also remember that the time my dad got married and the time or this era that I am now are two different generation periods. Do you understand? There are a lot of things that wasn't there then. I think back then we used to hear that for a man to get married, the woman will have to come and stay with the family for some time because they are watching the family. I also heard about some of their morals that I think at a point the man will have to go into the room to sleep with the woman with a white clock to know if she... All of these things we are right in their time. But should we now start doing it? I can't allow my daughter to go and stay in anybody's house because you want to check if she's good or not. Do you understand? And for me, I keep saying, you are the one getting married to a wife. You are the one going to live with the man or live with the woman, not your parents.
Not your parents.
So if you ask my dad the quality he wants in a woman, if he writes down 10 and I write down 10, we're going to see big changes on the both of them. The thing that attracts him may not attract me. Do you understand? So I'm living my life or running my life or my marriage based on me and my wife, not based on my parents. I think if we understand that, it's going to give us a whole lot of room. I think for me, the man had a lot of role to play in this. He had a lot of role to play. He's a decision maker. If he doesn't come into realization of certain things, so the things that worked for our parents, it could be good, it could be bad. That it is not a must that we carry them
into our own home.
Into our own home. It doesn't mean that it's going to make our marriage peaceful. For me, sit down with your spouse, talk together. If there is alignment, the both of you will think alike. And you begin to see things that will make sense to the both of you, that could govern your relationship and give you a better result. Once that thing is decided by the both of you, every other third party's opinion doesn't count. Because people are giving you opinion based on what worked for them. And like I said, what worked for them might not work for you. So you can hijack that thing that worked for them and bring it into your own marriage, and it destroys your own.
Exactly.
Somebody can also take up the one that worked for you into their own marriage, and it crashes their own marriage. So God has a reason why he gave us different instructions per time. There was a reason why he told Moses to struck the rock the first time, and the second time it was the same rock. He asked him now to speak to it. So what was the difference? Why not just hit the rock again? Do you understand? It simply means the instruction. I know the funny thing about this is this. I use the Moses scenario a lot. I was telling my people, some of my friends, I said, there's something significant about that particular. That's one of the mistakes we make in life decision. Sometimes the message of God overrides certain things, but the judgment or the punishment doesn't elude.
Sure.
Now, I used to ask the question initially. I said, God, if Moses was instructed to strike the rock, and he did that, and now you're asking him to speak, and he struck, I have a problem with him speaking instead of striking. That the water still came out. Because if this is my phone, it has an on button. No matter how much I press any other button, the phone shouldn't come on. But if the phone decides to come on, then who do you blame now?
Who do you blame now?
Do you understand? But the problem is this, that God, maybe out of his love for you, decided to overlook the mystic or the things you have copied into your marriage. Doesn't mean that you would also look out of the consequences. Because Moses actually spoke to the rock, which was disobedient. It looked like he overcome the consequences, but he didn't. That was the actual act that got him killed. Because after that, Bible said God took him to the rock and said, because of what you did in the wilderness, disobeying me, he died. So the question is this: do we want to keep hijacking the wrong instruction into our marriage?
No.
And maybe because it looks like it is good, it will work for us. No. If it worked for A, it won't work for you.
B.
And if it looks as if maybe it's somehow working for you, or God is saying don't bring it in, and you bring it in, be ready for the consequences. Some of the consequences could be divorce. It could be divorce. Because some persons, some of the things that have brought divorce into some homes is just the wrong decisions. Wrong things that sometimes we copied in, or we allowed our mom or our dad, our sisters to force us into us.
You know, it's really sad to see young people who come together, choose each other. You know, at the beginning, the mindset was we against the world, and when they eventually come together, rather than facing the world, they begin to face themselves, because they are allowing the family of which they come from biologically to influence the one that they are creating. We begin to see so many marriages breaking as a result of that. But is there a point where you get to say, okay, if I'm willing to work on myself, if I'm willing to say no to all of these things that are coming from my family of origination, and submit to the will of God in this marriage, and my partner, on the other hand, is still convinced in himself or herself that no, you know, they must have to continue to do that which came from their original home, should I pack up and say, okay, I'm done, or should I just keep waiting?
This is a very what's the word now? Is a situation that is very fragile, and if not managed correctly, a lot of homes will get broken. Do you understand? Now the thing is this: if you feel sincerely and genuinely that God brought you here, or brought you together with this person, as with whatever conviction you had, you're 100% sure. Not that you're moving by your thoughts or your dreams. I tell people sometimes the dreams you see is actually God communicating, and not God. It's not God communicating, because the number of girls I've dreamt about before I got married, I was in a swimming pool and all the garden. I didn't marry them.
True.
So if I had said it was by those things, maybe I would have gone into the wrong marriage. Now, but if you're 100% sure that this is where God has brought you, and your partner seems to be, drifting apart or having another decision, then the thing is, go back to the one who initiated the both of you being together. Like I said, when it has to do with changing the mind of a man, no woman can do it. No man can do it. No matter how much you love your partner, it will be difficult for you to want to change all of his opinion. No matter how much he loves you too, it will be difficult for him to want to accept all of your opinion. But this thing, there is somebody who controls the hearts of kings. And the Bible said wherever he turns it to, they obey. It's simple. A lot of things, some of the things that have gone, to the extreme in my own marriage are the things I didn't bother taking to the man. I wanted to impose. I wanted to say it must happen. And we must do it like this. At the end, I wanted to establish my manliness, or at the head of the house, things get busted. But if I go to the man who brought this union together and say, Lord, this is it. And sometimes too, that your opinion might not actually be the one God wants to go. Like I said, it is not everything you moved from your parents or from the generation, will work for you. But there are some you can actually move that will work.
That will work for you, yeah.
I don't know if you understand it. So you can actually be trying to say, no, I don't want us to bring anything that is maybe that parental stuff or advice. No, let us maintain. But if you go to the one who initiated the both of you being together, he could tell you, like he told Abraham, listen to what Sarah said.
Listen to what Sarah said. It's really convincing that for marriage to work, the two have got to agree.
Definitely.
Because if you don't agree, then there's a possibility that you continue to disagree, and the home where it's supposed to be peaceful turns around to become
That's right.
a battleground.
That's right.
And parents should allow their children to make their decisions.
Definitely.
You gave birth to them, you raised them, and every parent's prayer is for their child or children to become better than they are.
And so, how would they be better if they are doing the same thing you're doing?
The same thing that you're doing. So you have to be, as a parent, intentional when it comes to allowing the adult child that you have to make their decisions, and then either see the consequences or receive the blessings.
That's right.
I honestly have enjoyed this particular episode, I must tell you the truth, and I believe that all of those people who are watching us at this moment equally have enjoyed, and we're looking forward to having you on Safe Room, perhaps in our next episode.
Thank you. It's a real privilege.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, this is Safe Room with Elegant Rules. Thank you for watching.